Inquiry process on the SABC resumes after the Ad Hoc Committee took a break during the festive season. The committee has gone through a number of interviews, including some of the former SABC board members, the SABC 8, as we all know them, Faith Muthambi, the Minister of Communications, and the Save Our SABC Coalition, just to mention a few of those that testified. But joining us now from a parliamentary studio is Vincent Smith. He's the chairperson of the Ad Hoc Committee on the SABC Board Inquiry. Vincent, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much, Leanne, and good morning to you.
All right, so we know that it resumes today, and two former chairpersons of the board are expected to testify. Tell us a little bit more about the proceedings we can expect today.
We start the proceedings at 9:30 this morning, and we expect that Dr. Ben Gubane would appear before the committee. And immediately we're done with that part of it, the next witness will be Ms. Ellen Shabalala.
Now, the work of the committee has received so much applause so far. People have been watching it, commenting, and truly hailing the committee for the great work so far. Has it been encouraging to watch people enjoying the transparency?
Leanne, I haven't had the opportunity of watching people enjoying it. It's been a very challenging, as you say, and we're trying to do our best. And if people indeed are learning from it, then we can only be thankful for that.
Yeah, it certainly has been, and I just think, you know, the reality of having people coming and having their say and talking, I think that's what people have been enjoying most and commending for that. What are you hoping at the end of the day to achieve through this process?
Well, a couple of things, Leanne. The first thing is that we're hoping that the SABC returns to its former glory. We're also hoping that the product of our work would be able to inform the interim board and eventually the permanent board in terms of the priority areas that need to be focused on so that the SABC does what is expected of it to be done. And then, of course, finally, we're hoping that the oversight of Parliament begins to do what we are expected to do as members of Parliament. So at the end of the day, I think it's about the integrity of Parliament. I think it's about the efficiency and effectiveness of the SABC. And I think it's about making sure that we employ or we deploy people to boards of SOEs that are truly competent to do what it is that they're expected to do.
Yeah. You know, there's been a lot of talk, which I did mention too, a lot of encouraging talk, and a lot of things that people have been saying. One comment that really jumped out at me as well was the fact that somebody from outside the border of South Africa watching this process going underway and saying that this is not just a hearing and does not just speak to South Africa and what's happening at broadcasters. This is happening at broadcasters around the continent as well, and it speaks to them. Again, you know, something like this would also assist, I imagine, going forward and helping broadcasters realize that there should never be an agenda with broadcasting.
We certainly hope that that will be the case, Leanne. And of course, we will learn as we go along, but certainly one of the lessons out of this inquiry should be that we should never return to where we are right now in terms of public broadcasting.
Yeah. You know, one thing that was also quite humbling is when we saw the SABC 8 testifying, and there was apologies given by some that are sitting in the inquiry, just saying, you know, that they felt that they failed to protect the journalists. What's going to be put in place now? How are we going to protect journalists to allow them to do their work freely and not be answerable to those that perhaps have hidden agendas?
I don't know about the specifics that will be put into place, Leanne, but I think we need to be true to the Constitution that guarantees freedom of the press in South Africa, freedom of expression. And I think if all of us in South Africa are true to the Constitution, that should be at least a minimum that we should all aspire towards. And in that way, I would imagine that journalists would be able to do their work without any fear or favor.
What's going to happen to the report after it's been released? Where does it go? Who's expected to implement it?
Well, we are hoping to have what I call a draft report ready by the 24th of January. That report will then be sent to the remaining executive board members for comment, and we will give them about 10 days in which to comment on the report, after which we will then on the 14th and the 15th of February finalize the report, having considered their comments, if there are any, and submit the report to Parliament. Our deadline is the 28th of February, but we are confident that we'll be able to submit a report by the 15th of February to Parliament. And hopefully, Leanne, the recommendations that come out of that report will then be referred to the Portfolio Committee and all other relevant oversight authorities, including the interim board, so that implementation can take place at that level.
There's obviously been a lot said during the inquiry, and a lot of people have been implicated without having the ability to respond to some of the implications. And the two names that come to mind, Jimmy Matthews, Vianney Green, they're not able to testify. They're not able to come forward and tell their version of events. Why have you decided this? Why are you not giving those people that requested a voice not to be able to do this?
Leanne, let me remind you that when we first drafted our program, both those names that you mentioned were included in the program. We pursued Jimmy Matthews for about 2 weeks, and he indicated that he was not available because he was out of the country. In the case of Mr. Green, he indicated that he didn't think that it would add anything to participate. We therefore drew up and finalized our program accordingly. They subsequently then, after thinking about it, requested to appear before the committee. Unfortunately, our program had been finalized. However, it's not as bad as it appears, because every South African, including the two names you've mentioned, still have the ability through an affidavit to submit whatever it is they want to submit, and it'll be considered by the committee. So it's not as if we've shut them out completely.
Have you received any affidavits as yet from people that have been implicated in this inquiry?
Yes, we've received at least 2 affidavits that we have submitted and or distributed to members, and those affidavits will be considered when we start preparing our report next week, Tuesday.
So those names, are we allowed to know them, or is that confidential at this stage?
Well, I haven't asked for their permission at this point to divulge their names, but the documents are public documents, and I'm sure that when it's distributed to members, it will be made public to everybody else, but we've received at least 2.
So just on a closing note, Ellen Shabalala and Ben Ngubane, those are the final people to be testifying, and then it is closed as of today.
Well, what is closed after today is the warm body or face-to-face interactions. Thereafter, we go into the report writing phase, and finally, we will present a report to Parliament.
Have you found that this being broadcast live has had a far-reaching effect? Have you found that the fact that South Africans, ordinary South Africans, have been able to watch this committee and actually follow how it works, do you think it's had a positive effect on the reputation of how parliamentary committee works?
I think it has, Leanne. I think it has started or contributed to restoring Parliament to where it should be. But secondly, I think it also will dispel any notion of whitewashing and or nefarious actions. We've been determined to make it as transparent as possible, so that at the end of the day, the report is credible and accepted to all South Africans.
Well, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. 9:30 this morning, we can expect the testimonies to begin, and once again, we look forward to seeing you all in action and for that final report to be released. Thank you very much, Vincent Smith, for joining us here on Morning Live.
Thank you, Leanne. Bye.
All right, so Vincent Smith, as you know, is the chairperson of that Portfolio Committee, the SABC Inquiry Committee that's taking place. It starts again 9:30 today, and those that are expected today is Ben Ngubane and Ellen Shabalala, both of them former chairpersons here at the SABC Board.